Hi, boys and girls. Indy and Mrs. K here. I have a story for you. Indy was sleeping in my lap, so I'm going to let him go back to sleep. He's getting so big. I can't wait for you to see him again soon. I have a story for our virtue of compassion. This story is called Willow. So as we're reading, I want you to think about how the characters are showing compassion or are not showing compassion, and most specifically what Willow does when if someone isn't being kind to her. How does she react to that? So this is Willow by Denise Brennan Nelson and Rosemary Brennan, illustrated by Sid Moore. Another thing that you could do as an extra activity is you could discuss or tell mom and dad a retelling of what's happening in the story, but focus on the compassion piece. Even on the sunniest days, Miss Hawthorne's art room was cold and dark. Everything was in its place. There wasn't a single broken crayon in the bunch. The students sat in their rows, silent and still, like eggs in a carton, except for Willow. Rosy-cheeked Willow twisted around in her seat to look out the window. Face forward, young lady. Miss Hawthorne's icy blue eyes glared at Willow. Willow shivered. Miss Hawthorne's moods were as dark as her clothing. Another thing you could do is pause and think about all of the great words they're using. And if there's a word you don't know, pause it and ask mom or dad. I love this. Her moods were as dark as her clothing. I wonder what that means. You can pause anytime to talk about things you don't know what they mean. One day in September, Miss Hawthorne handed out paper, paintbrushes, and paints. She told her students to make pictures of a tree and hung an example on the board. Does she look like a fun teacher to have? All the students painted trees with straight brown trunks and round green tops. Everyone except Willow. Who ever heard of a pink tree? Miss Hawthorne asked with a frown. That's what I saw when I closed my eyes, said Willow. A few students giggled. Sam snorted. Pink stinks. Are the children being compassionate? The next week, Willow carried her well-loved art book to school. In it was a picture of a flamingo pink tree painted by a famous artist. Look, Willow pointed, giving Miss Hawthorne her most magical smile. Miss Hawthorne glanced at the picture, then turned away with a scowl. Scowl at me, boys and girls. That is not a nice look. Horrid little girl, she muttered as Willow skipped off. In October, Miss Hawthorne passed out paper, paintbrushes, and paints. She told her students to make pictures of an apple tree and hung an example on the board. All the students painted trees with straight brown trunks, round green tops, and red apples. Everyone except Willow. Miss Hawthorne pointed with a long bony finger. Look at the mess you've made. And there is no such thing as a blue apple. But that's what I saw when I closed my eyes, said Willow. Some of the students giggled. Sam laughed especially hard. Yeah, who ever heard of a blue apple? The next week, Willow carried her well-loved art book to school. She showed Miss Hawthorne a picture of a tree with blue apples. Then she reached into her backpack and took out a blue apple. This is for you, she said, handing it to Miss Hawthorne. Miss Hawthorne's face turned crimson. Good word to pause. Think about what that means. Horrid little girl, she muttered as Willow skipped off. Autumn flew past. Willow always seemed to be getting in trouble in Miss Hawthorne's class. Stop daydreaming, Willow. You broke another crayon, Willow? Willow, put that book away. Most of all, Willow got into trouble for not painting things the way Miss Hawthorne wanted her to. Is that being an artist if you just copy exactly what the teacher did? No, we want to use our own creativity, don't we? We're all artists. The day before winter vacation began, students brought presents for their teachers. No one brought a present for Miss Hawthorne, except for Willow. Miss Hawthorne stood at the window watching Willow and the other students board their buses. She wasn't in any hurry to leave. No one was waiting for her at home. Miss Hawthorne walked to her desk. She was surprised to see a gift. To Miss Hawthorne, my art teacher, from Willow. Miss Hawthorne slowly unwrapped the package. Nestled in a bed of tissue paper was Willow's well-loved art book. Miss Hawthorne sat holding the book for a long time. It was dark outside when she walked to the cabinet where the art supplies were kept locked away. Miss Hawthorne filled her arms with paintbrushes, colored pencils, paints, and a sketchbook and carried them to her desk. She flipped open the sketch pad and stared down at the blank page. Finally, Miss Hawthorne picked up a colored pencil. For the first time in her life, Miss Hawthorne doodled. Outside, the wind howled. Trees creaked and strained and broke where they could not bend. Snowflakes swirled upward. The lights flickered off. Miss Hawthorne sat in the darkness. When the lights came back on, Miss Hawthorne's fingers found the wet paint and spread it across the page. How is Miss Hawthorne feeling right now? She's being creative, isn't she? And she looks happy. The school custodian poked his head into the classroom and stopped, astonished at what he saw. Another good word to pause. What does astonished mean? Across town, Willow stood at her bedroom window, peering at the soft, fat snowflakes through her spyglass. After a while, she climbed into bed and fell asleep, wondering if Miss Hawthorne liked her present. Did it seem like Miss Hawthorne liked her present? When the students returned to school in January, everything was the same as always, except the art room. With wide eyes and open mouths, the students stood rooted in the doorway. Willow was the first to step inside. How are they feeling right now? What word would you describe? Behind a graceful willow tree covered in paint from head to toe was a woman painting. Wow, that looks beautiful. Do you know where Miss Hawthorne is? Willow asked. When the woman turned around, the students gasped. Everybody gasped with me. Miss Hawthorne, asked Willow. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Willow, Miss Hawthorne said. What did Willow's gift do for Miss Hawthorne? Her gift of compassion. Grab the paintbrushes, I need your help. Delighted, the students did as they were asked. This time, everyone painted just the way they wanted. Especially Willow. I hope you enjoyed that story. Love you. Bye-bye, boys and girls.